Hey everybody, Tim here at Deluxe Autos, and sorry for the rain, but it is what it is. We are back working on the 52 today, and we're taking a little bit of a look at the trunk. We've already gotten ahead and stripped off the trunk of the lock and emblems and everything. We've got our clean strip, aircraft stripper. Oddly says don't use on aircraft, on the trunk, so we're gonna let this sit for about 40 minutes, 45 minutes, scrape it off. That should pretty much just take off the paint. The primer didn't really seem to touch, so we'll hit that with our wheel. We've got a few spots for bodywork fill to get that smoothed out, and then this is gonna be ready for primer. Our goal very soon is to get both 52 parts and Challenger parts primed. We have, in addition to the trunk here, I'd like to get the hood prepped, but that may be in a later video. But I've got all these trim rings for the inside of the doors. I have the two wheel skirts. Those, one is prepped and ready to go. The other needs to be stripped and hit with filler. So hopefully we can get a bunch of stuff ready to go for primer really soon. Again, Challenger project, we're still waiting on a pile of parts. What do we got? We've got fuel system still, waiting on all the fuel tank, all that stuff. We have the lines, but no tank. We are waiting on patch panels for the front fender, the rear quarter panel, waiting to get the engine started so we can yank that and pull out the inner fender on the passenger side to get that cut and replaced. Then everything primed and painted on the engine bay, clean up the engine, yada, yada, yada. So if you haven't checked out those videos yet, hit the link up top here above my head to go check out the videos for the 72 Dodge Challenger. So we're just gonna let this stuff sit here for a while. And I'll keep slathering some stuff on, but we'll just let her do its thing and come back and strip it off. Alrighty gang, this has been sitting here for about 45, 50 minutes. We'll go ahead and see if we can't get some of this scraped off. I know we're gonna just get down to the primer. This stuff looks like it flashed off, so I may have to re-hit it, but pretty much you just take your scraper, and look at that. By and large, the paint just kind of falls off. Could have gotten a smaller scraper, but this is all I could quickly find. Kind of goopy, so if you do it indoors, you want to put down a plastic sheet or a tarp or something you can throw away. We're just here on our dirt floor for right now, so not terribly worried. It'll all get mixed back into Mother Earth before we pour concrete. So you can see I should have put a little more here, so I'll go back and hit this, but you can see the stuff really doesn't hit the primer. So this is a good primer back then. We'll just hit this with the wheel. This comes off really quickly with the wheel. Not so much the paint, but the primer does come right off. Alrighty, well you can see we got a good chunk of the paint off. I gotta go hit this area. Maybe I'll just end up hitting it with the disc or the wheel anyways. But you can see this is a good method to go ahead and remove paint across a large surface as opposed to hitting it with a wheel where you might heat it up and warp it, or sandblast, you might pit it, crater it out. Which brings us to another large surface, the hood. We got this taken off and it was actually a lot lighter than I thought it would be. We've just got this one real area here to contend with, but I'll go ahead and get this whole thing stripped down, work on this area. We'll hit it with our primer and get that ready for paint too. So I'm going to work on getting that done soon. But when we come back, we're going to have this trunk all stripped off and ready to go, get this body work done, get that ready for seal or for primer. Underneath, can't really see it, not too bright. but it looks pretty good. I'm not gonna do a whole lot under here. I'm gonna scuff it up and shoot it and just kind of take care of the corners, get some crusties out of there. But underneath is actually in really good shape, so we're not gonna bring that down to bare metal. We're just going to scuff it and shoot it and call that good. So we will come back very shortly. And we'll have this thing all cleaned up and ready to go. Alrighty, well, we got the trunk lid all cleaned up. I'm gonna go ahead and go over it with some of my spray away, get it cleaned off a little bit more, any of my goopy hand stuff off there, and try and find some of the low spots that I know we're gonna need some of the filler. We had a couple spots here we already knew we addressed a couple months ago, but I do need to go ahead and get other spots because I could feel them as I was going around with the sander, or I could see them not come out clean. So gonna get that ready to go, flip it over, get that scuffed up, ready to go for primer. And then we've got the hood sitting over there and it's big and it needs work and it might just stay there for a little bit. But we're gonna go ahead and get this thing ready to go. So we're just getting a mound of stuff ready to prime. I just don't have a good spot to prime everything. It's almost like I need one of those 30-foot inflatable spray booths because dirt floor is not gonna cut it. Okay. Alrighty folks, we've gone ahead and gotten our dolphin glaze on our trunk. So next we're gonna go ahead and take our, got 80 on one side here and 120 on the other side and knock down this, the glaze and get ready. Hopefully after this we'll be able to put the DTM primer on it. You know, once we get everything else ready. So here we go. Now, this here is nice and smooth, and if you've done it right, you've got this feathered in from the edge here. As opposed to here, you still got a pretty hard edge. This means you haven't sanded enough, of course, but this area here is getting to be more feathered in, and this area here looks really good. You really can't tell any difference when you run your hand over it. And of course, once we hit it with our primer, guide coat, you'll be able to see immediately if this is too high, and of course you'll sand that back down. So we're going to continue around this the rest of the panel and see where we're at. If you get going and you sand everything down, or one edge is really feathered out and this edge is, for example, still rough, it may have been that you did not extend the filler out far enough to get that feathering in. And in that case, just go ahead and put some more filler on there, or guide coat, or not guide coat, filler or glaze, and get that feathering in there. So we'll have to do a little more on this side. This big chunk, there was not really a dent here, but there was some leftover glaze I didn't want to just chuck. So I figured I'd throw some out here, just kind of a test of how the panel as a whole sits, if there's a bunch of other little minor imperfections that I'm gonna have to skim the whole thing, or if by and large we're gonna be pretty good, at least till it's in primer. So we'll send this off last, just because it was the last thing I had to do. Now, this isn't really the best way to do it, but in a small spot like this, and I didn't want to tear off a new piece of 120 for this, you can go in here, if you're really light with your thumb or finger, for example, and I wasn't really pushing in here at all, just very lightly to keep that contour in the sandpaper, and you can see most everything here got sanded off. I can go ahead and knock off this edge here real quick. There we go. And again, everything I'm doing is really light. I'm not pushing down hard, not grinding into anything here. I can always do it again. Bring it down more, but nice and easy does the job. Got a bird over here. Hey, bird. There he goes. Where is he? There he is. Somewhere. All right, back to painting. Or sanding, that's it. Painting comes later. Got a couple more of those spots. Almost makes the guy think he has skimmed the whole thing. Come on. The car's never going to be perfect. It's going to be good, but not perfect. All right, everybody, we are back here with a new day. I went to wrap up this segment last night, and I got about 3 words into it, and the GoPro battery went. So we're back. We ended up going ahead and sandblasting lightly the inside here of the trunk. Mainly, I just wanted to scuff up all the surfaces. Didn't necessarily need to remove all the paint. I wanted to here a little bit just for some surface rust developing at the seam, and then there was some adhesive on here for when someone tried to put the trunk seal on backwards. Wonder who that would have been. Anyway, the goal here was just to rough the surface up so that we can go ahead and prime it and shoot it with paint, and we are definitely scuffed up. Now I've just got to get all of the remnants of the sandblasting out of here. On the other side, we do have the trunk, and that is all cleaned up, prepped, filled, skimmed, glazed, whatever, and it is ready to go. So there were a few spots that we see. You know, I wasn't expecting to find any imperfections down here other than a couple of scratches, but they were there. Over here a little bit, and just interesting what pops up when you start putting on some filler. And even this big area here that I put a couple of stripes on to get rid of the last bit of material I had, there's just a couple little low spots right in here. So, you know, again, from 1952, it's going to have some imperfections. And you kind of wonder what of those came just from its life, and what of those came from, or which of those came from factory and just the manufacturing process. So we're going to wrap this one up here. We are going to head off and work on the hood in our next video. That'll be more of the same. There's one big dent in there I've got to fix, and then cleaning up the underside, because that's going to actually get shot with some undercoating, engine bay coating material underneath, because there's already some on there, and I don't really want to clean everything off, repaint it. I'm just going to shoot it black again and call it good. But one thing I do want to note, thank you to the new subscribers that have been following me lately here on YouTube and wherever else. And one of the new guys, Fearless Fly 100, go check out his channel. He is building his subscriber base and putting out content. He's got repairs on cars, pickups, side-by-sides, just a bunch of good stuff there. So go check him out. Link is below. As for me, make sure you have hit that subscribe button. If you haven't, why not? And check us out, Instagram, Facebook, Patreon, Teespring for merch. And we will see you all very soon in, well, I'm not going to see you. You'll so, yeah. Wow, almost did it in one take. Alrighty, like I said, that's going to wrap it up for me. And we'll see everybody very soon. Actually, you'll see me. I won't see you unless you come and visit me, which would be kind of weird. Anyways, stay tuned for the next video when we work on the 52. Keep going on that, get that hood going. Stay safe, have fun, whatever you're doing, and don't do what I do. I don't know. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.